Now presenting
the R.K. Ultra Podcast,
Expanding Your Minds.
whether you want it or not.
Welcome to R.K. Ultra. We've got a great episode for you guys today. We're going to be talking about some conspiracy theories, some of the most popular ones, and we're going to start with some of the more crackpotty ones and work our way through more of the more plausible conspiracy theories. And today with us, we have a new guest. We have Tyler Gilley.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Now, thanks for coming on. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Tyler.
Absolutely. I'm 21 years old. I'm a real estate agent in the Northeast Florida area, so anyone buying a house in that area, definitely let me know. But I'm pretty new to Florida. Did 2 years at the University of Alabama and just wanted to get a good jump start on my career. So I met these two fine gentlemen out and about, and here we are on the podcast. So thank you for having me again.
Yeah, it's great to have you. You know, we thought you were pretty cool. Thought you'd have it on. We got to talking about some conspiracy theories when we first met, so that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Love it.
We're going to start with the moon landing. Have you heard anything about this one?
A bit, definitely. This is definitely something my science teachers did not like to discuss in high school, but there was always that one guy who wanted to talk about it, so definitely happy we can discuss about it unfiltered a little bit.
Yeah, right. This one always seemed a little crazy to me. There is always that one guy that's like, no, come on, man, look at these pictures.
Like, look at it, come on.
Yeah, I can't believe there's
light.
There's a percentage of the population that actually believes it is a hoax. It's like they didn't believe that they had the technology in 1969 to be able to get to the moon. They just wanted to say they won the space race against the Soviets, and it's like,
You know, yeah, the whole idea behind that theory is we were in the, the Cold War. So the Russians already beat us to space, so people were like, nah, we just
made it up.
Yeah, filmed it in a bunker. And
well, something you got to think about is they had to keep thousands of people silent for all this time, and that's very impressive. If you had all those people working on that project, you had to keep every single one of them silent.
And
it's hard to believe.
And not only that, if the Russians had saw through it, they definitely would have said something.
Absolutely.
You know?
They were looking for a reason to poke at us. You know?
That's the first thing my dad turned to me and told me when those conspiracy theories first, because he's into the Air Force stuff, and he knew people. He's like, I knew people that could have accidentally screwed that whole thing up. There was like 400,000 people working on that one mission alone.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So it's hard to lie about that.
Keep that many people under it. I mean, hard to do.
The evidence they like to propose is so amusing to me. Like, they'll have a picture of, like, the mounted American flag on the moon, and you'll see it waving in the picture.
Yeah, the wind was some of the evidence or something like that.
Like, there's no wind on the moon. It's like, well, but there's physics, and there's 1/6 the gravity. So if you plunge a flagpole in and, try to get it into the moon, that wavingness is going to go on for, 6 to 7 times longer.
Exactly.
There's scientific explanations for almost everything that comes out from that particular.
And not only that, they have telescopes that can zoom in onto the moon and actually see the landing sites and everything that's happening up there. It's almost as crazy as the flat Earth conspiracy.
Not quite, but close.
Close. It's there.
And even MythBusters did an episode on this where there's mirrors on the moon that we have left there, and they can shoot lasers to the moon and have them reflect back and prove that.
That's so cool, actually. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's an old episode of MythBusters like that. In 2012, our government released pictures of, like, our flag still standing up on the moon. So, I mean, this one's been pretty much washed away and debunked, and there's probably only, a fringe group of people that still believe in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's very far-fetched. It always has been. I haven't heard much about it, probably for that reason.
Yeah.
So let's move on to a more shrouded in mystery one. I mean, that's getting some light nowadays. Let's talk about the Kennedy assassination.
Ooh. This one could be believable, actually.
I mean, everyone knows the story. Apparently, Lee Harvey Oswald shot J.F.K. from a suppository window. And ever since then, there's been massive controversy over this. Some people think there was a second gunman from the grassy knoll because Lee Harvey Oswald could not have hit him from there. I personally think he could have. I don't think that was that crazy of a shot.
Yeah, and I mean, you definitely have to understand, like, who would benefit from that assassination, because I believe not long before he was killed, he said he was going to dismantle the CIA into about 1,000 pieces.
Yes.
And so an organization just as powerful as the CIA, I mean, they're not going to let somebody who's the president stay in power for that long. So I would just like to add that I would never kill myself under any circumstances whatsoever.
Yep.
I'm very happy.
Very happy, not depressed. But definitely some fishy stuff going on there for sure.
You know, and it got worse because Lee Harvey Oswald, the supposed killer, was killed by Jack Ruby, a nightclub owner. What was it, 2 days after the assassination?
Yeah.
And Jack Ruby then went to jail and allegedly was seen by an MK Ultra doctor.
Yeah, see,
There it is. There's
Yeah.
the tie.
And that's
Yeah.
the end. Just kidding. It's not, because Jack Ruby died that same year from an embolism in prison.
right.
You know, very, very strange turn of events, and no wonder it's you know, made so many theories throughout the years.
And it almost seems like they're slow dripping the documents to us because they know that it's true, and they don't want to admit it, so they're just going to slowly admit it and normalize everything about it to where, like, nobody's going to care. Everybody's going to be dead from it all. It's just, I think that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely stirring up a lot of heat now because I believe it's his nephew, the next Kennedy, who's running for president, and I think he's blatantly said in several debates that the CIA took out his uncle. I mean,
He mentions that he
basically said
fears
they did.
assassination.
He fears assassination.
You know, and say what you will about that. There were documents that were released not too long ago that the CIA not only knew about Lee Harvey Oswald, Lee Harvey Oswald, but they had met with him a few times before, you know, the assassination. That doesn't prove involvement, but it is weird.
It's strange. It's like, well, why are you meeting with the guy that just so happened to kill the president
Of the United States of America.
And you are the Central Intelligence Agency. Yes, it's sus in the
And
words.
they didn't, and they covered it up. So why cover it up? So yeah, it's what needs to be said there. Connect the dots.
Yeah, really, it's really hard to, and you know, any one of us could be completely wrong. Maybe it's a psyop throwing us off. We don't know, but it's very strange turn of events, and all we know is that it wasn't what it looked like.
Right.
I think it can get stranger, though. I think it can get definitely weirder in the conspiracy level.
Yeah, like how weird, like Denver Airport weird.
No, I'm thinking like 9/11 weird.
9/11 weird, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys know all about the 9/11 conspiracy, right?
I know some things about it. I believe about half of it. I think there was definitely something going on that day. Where would you begin?
Well, first of all, the conspiracy is that basically Bush did 9/11. He got help with the Saudis to start a war so that he could invade Afghanistan and Iraq. So, blowing up the Twin Towers would make everybody all pissed off at the Middle East so that they could have an excuse to invade them. And, just watching the videos, of course there were planes that hit those buildings, but it was just the way those buildings went down, it looked almost like a controlled demolition. The way they fell completely down straight like that.
I do agree that the video is weird. I don't think it was a controlled demolition myself. I do think there's all that whole truther 9/11, but jet fuel doesn't burn steel or something. Well, yeah, but I mean a 737 flying into it half the speed of sound might not be good for its structural integrity.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
it still is a conspiracy, but there was an extraordinary amount of put options, which is basically like when you invest in something and when it fails, you get money for it. An extraordinary amount of put options were put into the United Airlines and the American Airlines, the two airlines that were hijacked. I mean, and this was before it happened.
And that's the part where I was going to bring up that I would agree with you there that there was fishy things that happened right before that seemed to show that there was knowledge of something that was going to happen.
Right. I'm not exactly sure of the events because I actually wasn't even alive for 9/11. I was born about 2 months after 9/11. But I know there was some money counting going on in those towers in the exact spot that the planes hit. And a sizable amount of money, I want to even say it might have been in the trillions, went missing on September 10th. So I don't know about controlled demolition or anything, but it is very fishy that, it definitely seems like somebody wanted the records erased of what was going on with that money. So
yeah,
it's just a very dark thing to think about that, someone could be doing that in our own country, It's just we've always thought it's a foreign enemy, but I mean,
well, what do they
it's
say?
so, I don't even think people are ready for the possibility that it could be our own government that's just that corrupt.
I think most people believe it already.
Sadly.
But they're asleep or don't really.
Well, I think COVID it definitely exposed a lot of the government's true colors when we found they were blatantly lying about certain things. So I definitely think if they ever tried a situation like COVID again, people would literally riot like nothing anyone's ever seen before. So
Yeah,
I
especially
completely
if it was I don't know, say 4 years after the last one.
yeah, it would be bad. It would be really bad.
With the 9/11 thing, there's a lot of very strange. Like if you follow the money, like you said, there was also insurance market anomalies. Like people were buying and selling insurance very weirdly right before it happened.
Yeah.
I think with anything, you can go to a fringe side of a conspiracy. Like there's believable aspects of it, but there's also like crazy non-believable aspects. Like they hit the Pentagon with a missile.
Right.
No, I don't see that.
Did you also hear about the third tower that fell that was next to the Twin Towers? There was a third tower that didn't even get hit by a plane that also
what?
fell 7 hours later.
Not heard of this. Actually.
Really?
No, I've never heard of
Yeah,
that.
no, there's video footage of a third tower falling. It wasn't touched by there was no plane that made contact with it.
Yeah,
And it again looks almost like a controlled demolition.
I'm not surprised that that's the first time you heard of this because I heard that same thing. Someone told me that same thing like 6 months ago, and I was shocked too. I was like, I've never once heard of this.
Yeah, I didn't believe it myself when I first saw it, but apparently there's evidence that it happened, and I honestly remember seeing it. So I'm not seeing it live, but seeing the footage.
Yeah, but sure enough,
Unless
yeah,
it was faked.
I saw some weird sources on that too.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. To think. I mean.
Wild,
Wow.
it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, so that controlled demolition theory is starting to sound a little bit more possible.
Yeah. It's very weird. It's definitely a very weird situation that still needs investigation. Like I think even Vivek Ramaswamy, one of the guys who's running for the candidacy for president, I think he's even hashing up 9/11 stories and questioning what happened there just because it really is something that fishy.
Yeah, he is, and he's getting chewed out for it. But I don't see any problem with asking questions. I mean, even that remember that flight that went down in Pennsylvania during 9/11? There was one that it didn't hit anything. They thought it might have been heading for the White House, but it ended up crashing in Pennsylvania.
I believe it was overtaken by the passengers of the plane. It got hijacked, and the passengers fought back because they were aware of what was going on. If I believe that's what happened, but I'm not. I think there may have been a movie about
Yes,
it.
they did.
That's
You're
the
correct.
official story.
That is the official story,
story.
and they made a movie about it. There was a conspiracy theory that they just shot that one down. Because
I haven't even heard that theory.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know about that one.
Again, there's no evidence. It's just a theory. 'Cause
Right.
I'd rather believe that the passengers mutinied and brought that thing to the ground. That would be
Much more patriotic sounding for sure.
But it's sad to think that could just be a cover story for something even worse.
Yeah, I'd
but,
certainly like to think it's not a cover story.
yeah.
So you were talking about the Denver airport. What's up with that?
The Denver airport. That's a fun conspiracy theory that he reminded me of. Why don't you give us a start on that?
Well, I was in the Denver airport relatively recently, and I remember there's some very fishy stuff going on there. For starters, I think the property they own is like twice the size of Manhattan. There's been a lot of billionaires who are very high up who've purchased a lot of property around that area and underground. There's supposedly just a crazy amount of underground space that's almost like doomsday bunker. A lot of satanic rituals spread around the airport, including like a 35-foot Lucifer-looking horse at the front of the airport. So a lot of people think it's very satanic, ritualed, possibly a portal to hell or a place for the New World Order to get started whenever doomsday goes on, maybe the next COVID event when they try something crazy. So,
Wow.
but again, this is just a theory. So
That's my favorite kind of a conspiracy theory. That one's a banger. I love it.
Didn't you say that the horse under its construction, the creator of it, actually died from it falling on top of it? So
that's correct.
It's
Yeah.
almost like he was the sacrifice for this satanic.
Right, yeah, so now it's like official. Like it's like there's blood on that horse's hands or that demon's
Wow.
hands or whatever. So
Man.
it's pretty dark stuff, but
That construction of that place went $2 billion over budget.
that's right. Yeah, it's with a B, so it's why did it go $2 billion over budget?
Wow.
And, I also believe the runways are in the shape of a swastika.
Yeah,
And that's not normal for an airport. They clearly went out of their way to do that. So
Wow.
just a lot of strange stuff going on there, a lot of dark.
We should have done more investigating. We had a layover in the Denver airport when we went to Las Vegas a little bit ago. Man.
Yeah, we were in that airport, and we totally did. We totally shot the bed on that one. We could have looked around it more. Yeah, I actually remember hearing, he mentioned it earlier, and I remember hearing a weird testimonial story by someone who says that they went into the elevator and typed in apparently the wrong elevator code and went to some subterranean lair where everything was like built but for giants. Like he'd go into a bathroom and it would be like urinals for people that were not human.
Wait,
Like,
you're saying this is at the Denver airport?
yeah, that's a story that came out of that one.
It's a little,
little crackpotty, but and there's no evidence to support it. But like, I remember hearing that interesting story. And he mentioned,
We really shot the bed.
we really could. Yeah,
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, we're gonna have to go back to Vegas, I guess.
Maybe that, yeah.
We're gonna have to.
Yeah, I was actually in Vegas pretty recently, but didn't stop at the Denver airport. That was a separate trip. But it's a weird airport. Definitely very strangely large, and I don't know, it's just weird.
Yeah.
I definitely saw some weird paintings there of children, and just very, I don't know.
Very, very strange
Very
art.
perverted almost. It almost seems like Jeffrey Epstein had something to do with the design of that place.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So
I agree.
Well, man. Yeah, that is a very strange case. I think we're gonna end it on that one today.
absolutely.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for
Thanks
being
for
on
having
today,
me on.
Tyler.
Yep. Thank you, Tyler.
Absolutely. If anyone watching, follow me on Instagram at Tyler Gilley _. I'll definitely be happy to help anyone watching with buying or selling, investing in real estate anywhere in Northeast Florida. So just let me know. I'd be happy to help anybody.
All right, great. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at RKUltraCast or on TikTok at RKUltra8.
Or you can find us at www.rkultra.com.
So follow us because we'll be following you into the Denver airport bathroom.
Piss at a giant urinal.